covering installing and troubleshooting the Infor ERP Syteline adapter. Okay, and this is today's agenda. We're going to be covering a single server installation, multiple or split server installation, troubleshooting common errors, and then if time permits, we're going to talk about upgrading 5.0 SP1 to version 6.0. Okay, so the first thing I just wanted to cover is just to give you some background knowledge about what the adapter components are, what is actually installed when you install the configurator adapter. Okay, because we're going to be using these throughout our presentation. So we have the extension manager, which is part of the adapter installation. Okay, and this actually installs the adapter store procedures and triggers into the Syteline application database. Okay, so a lot of people ask me what really is the adapter, and there's not a service or anything that runs on your server. It's just these store procedures and triggers. Okay, the other thing that the extension manager does is it installs schema mappings into our by design model database, which allow us to write to specific fields in the Syteline database. Okay. The other tool that gets installed as part of the adapter is the client deployment wizard. Now this copies the by design host services files and a metadata instance file. Okay, both of these allow the Syteline application to talk, if you will, to the by design configurator, and it just moves those files from the by design directory into the Syteline directories that I have listed here. Okay. Okay. Then the final component is the configurator server and its components. Okay. One thing I want to make sure is that the configurator adapter must be installed on the Syteline utility server. Okay. That's also a very common question I get. Where do I install the adapter? Okay. And again, the configurator server can be on a separate server than the utility server, and we're going to cover both of those scenarios today. Everything installed on one server, and then the adapter and the utility server installed on one server, and the configurator server installed on a different server. That's becoming very common these days. Okay, so as we go through this, I'm gonna snap back and forth between an environment, and we're just going to walk through this together. Okay, so the first scenario that we're going to cover is the single server installation. So this is where everything is all on one server. So that's on the Syteline utility server. We're going to install the configurator server and then the configurator adapter for Syteline. Okay, so everything is to be on this one server. And also in this scenario, this also has SQL Server 2005 as well. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize my presentation here. So the first step that we're going to do is install configurator 6.0. Okay, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to jump into my environment. And again, this is my Syteline utility server. Okay, and I'm just going to, this is just the CD, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on install configurator 6.0. Okay, so now we got our license agreement. We're just going to go ahead and click on OK. I'm just going to accept the defaults here from the username and company name. My destination directory. Okay, and it's just going to bring up a list of features. I'm going to go ahead and accept all those features, and I'm also going to click configuration resources because I want my content to be on this server as well. Okay, this is not going to be a load balanced environment, so I'm not going to check that box. And then we're just going to click next all the way through until we've completed the installation. So while that's running, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go install the adapter for Syteline. And once we install both of these, then we're going to go back through and set up each one of them, run through all the additional steps. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and install the adapter components. Go ahead and click on next and install. There are no features. Okay, so I'm just going to let that finish. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up the configurator. Okay, and to do that, we are going to run the configurator setup wizard, and that's found in Start, Programs, ByDesign 6.0, ByDesign Configurator, ByDesign Configurator setup wizard. Okay, and the steps we're going to go through: we're going to create a new database. We're going to write a metadata instance file named bydesign.config. Okay, this is a really important piece that we do this and name it correctly, because the Syteline adapter needs that file to be named bydesign.config. Okay, and we're going to go walk through that right now. Okay, so again, we're going to go to Start, All Programs, ByDesign 6.0, ByDesign Configurator, Configurator Setup Wizard. Now the first step that we're going to do here is we're going to create a metadata database, and this just stores information about our model servers, output servers, and applications that we have defined. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Create Database button, and I'm just going to put in my SQL Server name and instance name. Username and password. And then I'm going to give the database a name, and I just like to name it 6.0 just to keep it consistent with the version that I'm installing. Okay, so now I've put in all that information. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Write Instance File button. Okay, and we're going to write that to, just bring my slide back up here. C Program Files, ByDesign 6.0, Configurator Server. Okay, and again, we're going to name that bydesign.config. I'm just going to browse out to Program Files, ByDesign 6.0, Configurator Server Directory. Okay, we're going to call that ByDesign. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and click Next. I'm just going to go ahead and use the SQL Server, or the SA username and password that I entered on the last screen. And it's going to create that database for me. It takes a few seconds. Okay, now it's asking for our license information. For those of you that have not installed this before, you'll need to contact TDCI support to get your license key. So what we would need is your serial number here. So if you would just copy that serial number, and if there is a dash in front of it, we do need that. It's just some information for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Evaluate. And I'm going to set up the resource directory. This is where it's going to look for my content. I'm just going to accept the defaults. And then the configurator server directory itself. Okay, so we've now completed the setup wizard, okay, created our metadata database, and we've written our bydesign.config instance file. So next, I'm going to go into Enterprise Manager, and I'm going to define my configurator application. Okay, and again, a configurator application is just a set of a model server, an output server, which for Syteline is going to be your application database. Okay, and then you name those with an application name that link those together, and that's what we're going to go through right now.